And I'm live. There we go. All right. Hey, everyone. Welcome to the July 4th live stream where we do it live, America style. And we'll start off with Alex saying hi. Tony, a very happy Independence Day to you. But your stream is on at precisely the same time as a marathon Lotus Eaters UK general election coverage, and I have a big box of wine to celebrate that. I don't blame you. 0 seats, go Reform UK. The Reform Party in the UK. Hopefully Niall Farage will crush his opponents. I think he's going to, they have a parliamentary kind of system. So they're going to come in second, which is a big deal because they will be the opposition party. So that, and then also to celebrate America, I listen to the Rolling Stones because I like a lot of Rolling Stones. So this is respectable, a very good song from the Stones. I like to listen to songs that I put in my head in the movie for the Pineys. So this is one of the songs for Book 16. I'll tell you about that in the coming weeks and months of why I picked this particular song. But we are doing it live on July 4th here with Little Joan. Little Joan is all tuckered out already. July 4th is not a happy time for Little Joan, as you can imagine. Although we were out last night, she's not really that bothered by the fireworks like a lot of dogs. A lot of dogs get very freaked out by it. Like, they go nuts. Joan kind of just, she'll ignore a lot of it until it's, over and over again. Then after a while, it starts to bother her. But usually at first, like we were out walking last night, and a few people were setting off some fireworks. And it didn't seem to bother her all that much. She was more into the walking because Joan loves to be outside. I've never seen a dog that loves being outside as much as Joan. Oh, man. You wouldn't know it to look at her, but, man, she loves the outside. She is a dog's dog. She loves to stick her face in dirt. She just loves being a dog. I know, you think to look at her, she's a cute little diva dog. She is. Man, she loves it. She loves being out there in the muck. She doesn't like water though. That's the weird thing about Jo. She wouldn't jump into a stream or a pool or anything like that. I tried to get her into that. Doesn't like it. Doesn't like to get wet. But she does love to get in the dirt, like the dry dirt. She'll rub around in that all day long. Anyhow, what are we doing today? Well, we're doing the live stream. I again, probably not going to do it on Sunday unless my event is canceled because the event kind of conflicts with that, and by the time I get home, it'll be too late. I'll probably do a Hollywoke hot take live on Monday unless something prevents me from doing that. I don't think so. What else is going on? So it's the I Heart Horror event on Sunday. That's Sunday. And the rest of the time I'm doing family events, I'm doing fun stuff. I got a lot going on this week. Surprisingly for me. Usually I'm just sitting around here doing videos, working on my book. I should be working on book 15. I should be doing that, but I still have some time. So I will get to work on the book sometime this weekend, but I haven't yet. So I'm a little behind in my own head, but I actually don't have a lot to do. The hardest part about putting together book 15 or any of the book of the Pineys is actually putting together the back blurb. That's kind of the hardest part. I just got to come up with something that goes on the back, because I'm finally getting to the point where I've been at enough shows and events where people they automatically always go to the back of the book to read a synopsis of it, and I almost never have synopsises of the story on the back of the book. So I don't know what I'm going to do for book 15. I usually try to do something different each time. I don't really know. So we'll see. I might have one of the characters that's unique to book 15 say something or do something, or I might have a clip from it. I don't know. I never know what to put on the back of the book, you know. But I like to put cool stuff. I really love the back of book 14 with the pirates, because it was all the places where pirate treasure is buried in South Jersey. I don't think I can do that, but yeah, won't work out for that one. I mean, we have mafia guys instead of pirates this time, so yeah, not really the same kind of vibe. I don't know. I'll think of something. I don't like to overthink it. I like to come up with something, just shoot it out there. Also have to do the synopsis. That's kind of tough too, believe it or not, writing the synopsis of the book. So yeah, it's all the little things that get me. Like writing the book, that's the fun part and the easy part for me. It's all the other stuff I have to do, promotion and that kind of stuff. Man, that's the tough stuff. That is, to me, the tough stuff, because you really got to think about that. The book, I'm just having fun and shooting my mouth off, so to speak. All the other stuff that you have to do that's sort of inside the lines, it's a little more, you got to really sort of process it and think about it. But I love it. All right, so it's July 4th. What are we doing today? We are doing the American live stream, which means most of my audience is out because most of my audience is Canadian and English, but that's okay. Some of the Americans will drift in here if they're not at a barbecue somewhere, which again, a lot of you are. So you're probably watching this later, and that's fine. It's a bit of a grab bag today, but I am going to talk about the history of the United States. We're going to go through some lists, of course. But first, I'll just touch on what I always do in a live stream, the numbers. Don't have the data for the weekend yet, but yeah, I mean, look at these numbers. Despicable Me premiered today to 27 million. Now, this is Wednesday. This is a Wednesday. This movie is going to obliterate everything, including Inside Out. Now, Inside Out, it's in its third week, so it's going to go down. But Despicable Me looks like it's going to absolutely crush. Bad Boys Ride or Die, I mean, it could end up number 3 above Horizon and American Saga, which I saw last night and reviewed at 4 o'clock in the morning. I was a little fuzzy. What a disappointment. What a disappointment Horizon and American Saga is. It really is. It's not a bad, it's too long. It's too long. It's so friggin' long. When you're sitting in your chair kind of squirming like, oh, I've been sitting down too long. When is this thing over? Please be the end. That's a really bad sign. And it ends on a montage of the clips from the upcoming sequel. Not good. Not good at all. I mean, you would have been better off with a classic cliffhanger than that. Because not only is the montage meaningless to me, because by the end of the movie, I'm so numb from seeing a cast of 99. There are 99 characters in this cast. And many of them are important. Like, a lot of them have scenes and dialogue. So it's a ensemble cast unlike any other. It's just too long. It's just way too effing long. He is luxurious. I don't want to go on too much about it, but there were a couple of things I forgot to say in my review last night that I'd like to say now. And number one is Horizon, an American Saga, is a terrible title. It is a terrible title. It is boring. It might as well be called Generic Western Movie Number 6. And, I didn't understand the anger towards this movie until I saw it. Now I completely do. I completely understand why people are pissed. They're pissed off. I don't understand the people who supported the movie. Honestly, there are some virtues to it. It seems very authentic. I mean, historical wise, which I appreciate. It's not that the performances are bad. It's just there's so much going on the damn thing. It's not a movie, it's a miniseries. And you should have really presented it that way. It shouldn't be in theaters. Like, I could see it being in theaters if it was popular after you had launched it, I don't know, on Amazon or something. I can't see you going to the movie theaters for this. I can't see anybody seeing the sequel. No way. Defenders of this movie might go see it, but I think those are few and far between. Few and far between. I mean, the hardcore Western fanatics might go see it. I love Westerns. And, maybe I would see the sequel on the streaming if I heard, oh, well, now it really comes together. But, Jesus, man. I was on a date at that movie. My date was like, oh, this movie's so boring. And I'm like, I couldn't argue with her. I'm like, yeah, it's boring. It is boring. I mean, there's some cool scenes in it, but it's mostly boring. Mostly boring. You're just kind of numb to it by the end. Sorry to rant about Horizon and American Saga, but it's just a bloated mess, in my view. I'll give it this. He kept it under 50 million for the budget. I think some people said it was 100 million, but I think it says 50 million here for the budget. Yeah, the production budget is 50 million. Will it make that? Ooh, I don't know. I mean, we're at 15 million going into the second week. Nah, I don't think. Look at the international. Holy crap. That's the worst international box office ever. Oh, but it only... See, I told you, United Kingdom. But, geez, that's low, too. No one in the UK is seeing this. And no one's seeing it this weekend, by the way, because they got a big election coming up. And it hasn't really opened anywhere else yet. So... Or we just don't have the numbers? It did open last weekend, and we got no numbers. Where the hell are the numbers on this? France, it opens this weekend. Italy, I ain't going to really help it. Australia, not China. I'm kind of not sure why they wouldn't let... Well, there is a Chinese scene with a bunch of Chinese immigrants. Maybe that's why they wouldn't let it run in China. I kind of think there's really nothing else in it to really... I mean, it takes place before the communism, so... I don't know. I guess the commies didn't like it. But, yeah, we'll see. We'll check the numbers probably on Monday. All right, moving on to important things. We're going to talk about American history because it's July 4th. Happy birthday, America. Happy birthday, America. I can't play any of the American songs. Happy birthday, America. So, as always, I have lists. So, first up, from the historyonthenet.com, what were the most important events of American history? All right. So, first up on the list, the American Revolution. Obviously, yes, this should be on the top of every list. The American Revolution is the most important thing to America. Without it, it wouldn't exist. I don't know if these are in any particular order, but then the Civil War. Important, sure. It's a big time. Then the Manhattan Project, kind of jumping ahead, but sure, very important. Then it goes to the assassination of Kennedy and Lincoln. Yeah, important, big, I suppose. Moon landing, sure, could see that. But then 9/11, no, I don't think so. What year was this list done? I don't even know. Yeah, I don't know why this is on the list of most important events. I mean, 9/11 was bad, don't get me wrong. But compared to the Civil War, yeah, I don't think it was as bad. And I don't think we're prepared to discuss that event honestly still, quite frankly. Maybe in another 50 years we will be, but right now I don't think I still don't think the discussion around it's honest. I'm not a truther, but there's some stuff in there we haven't gotten the info on. And when we get it, I'm sure everybody will be incredibly pissed off. All right, now this is from the Imaginative Conservatism, or Conservative, as an old blog from 2015. But I thought this list was good. Great moments in American history. So first, he gets down into the weeds a little bit. George Washington squashes the Newburgh Conspiracy. All right. This is March of 1783. Washington armies was encamped in Newburgh, New York. The Revolutionary War not yet over, though victory was in reach. Washington's men became restive, and the Continental Congress had not paid them in months. Washington had pleaded with Congress over the course of the war, asking for more food and supplies and men. He must have shared his men's frustration when a letter circulated amongst the officers calling for a meeting to discuss a march on Philadelphia to overthrow the government and institute military rule. Oh my. Oh my. So yeah. At Newburgh, Washington learned of the meeting of his officers and showed up without an invitation to confront some 500 mutineers. After telling the men that Congress was doing everything in its power to pay the army and urging the officers to exercise patience, Washington took from his pocket a letter from a congressman promising Washington that the men would be fairly compensated. Washington looked at the congressman's letter, squinted, and then removed a pair of spectacles from his pocket. Only his aides had ever seen him wear these, a sign of weakness among the soldiers. There was a stunned silence in the hall, and Washington paused, looked at his men, and said, "Forgive me, but I have only grown gray, but almost blind in the service of my country." The officers began to weep openly, a sign of manliness in the 18th century, and the mutiny was ended then and there. Wow, what a moment. What a moment. Number 2, Robert Carter frees his slaves in 1791. Good for him. That is a time when slavery was still rocking. So good for him. Freed his slaves. Number 3, Mercy Otis Warren pens a history of the American Revolution. I guess. I mean, I guess it's important. I don't know if I agree with that one. But then we're jumping to 1865. Robert E. Lee chooses peace over the continued bloodshed. So, he helped end the war. Number 5, Andrew Carnegie gives away his fortune in 1901. So, another interesting moment. This one, Jesse Owens shows up Hitler at the Olympics in 1936. That was a big one, I think. Yeah, that should be on everybody's list. It's an amazing moment if you haven't seen some of the footage or read about it. Number 7, John F. Kennedy challenges America to land on the moon. Yeah, I think that was a big moment too. Because, I don't know, it marked this moment where like the presidents would kind of use their station as a very visible person to motivate people. And I like the positive motivation behind it, even though Kennedy wasn't, perfect by any stretch. Number 8, Ronald Reagan determines to defeat the evil empire. Again, same sort of thing. Same sort of thing. It's a good just to come out and say it. Number 9, Bruce Springsteen sings of freedom at the Berlin Wall in 1988. Yeah, I mean, the Berlin Wall falling down would be the big headline, but I guess if you're talking America, but it's not America. But I guess, sure. Number 10, Gil Mensch retires from baseball, foregoing $12 million. I don't even know who that is. I don't think that should be on the list. Weird list, but I like the beginning of it, so I included it. Weird, going right to baseball. I mean, very American. Don't get me wrong. Now, this one cracks me up. This is Listverse, and they've got 10 great moments in U.S. history. Number 10, Barack Obama elected president. This one was written in 2009, so I think it's just a little bit tainted by the events of the moment. Yeah, in 2009, people would have said this. Looking back on it, it's a moment in history. I wouldn't call it a great moment, looking back on his presidency. You know, it was a moment. It's interesting. It says some things, even without Barack Obama's terrible policies. But, you know, because he's black. But, you know, look, history will not look kindly on Obama's presidency, in my view. Number 9, Armstrong walks on the moon. Yeah, totally agree with that one. Number 8, the Civil Rights Act. Seeing a pattern here. That's pretty good. I don't know if it would be in the top 10, but that's pretty good. Number 7, the Marshall Plan. Rebuilding after World War II. You mean when you sent all our money overseas? Yeah, maybe. I don't think it should be in the top 10. Women's suffrage. Yeah, sure. Yeah, that's something. Come on. I would put that in the top 10. It definitely changed America. Number 5, the Emancipation Proclamation, 1863. Yes. I mean, obviously, this would be in the top 10. Sure. Freeing the slaves. Absolutely. Number 4, Lewis and Clark arrive at the Pacific, 1805. I think that's a big one, too. Kind of surprised it wasn't on the other list, but I would put that in the top 10. Number 3, the Louisiana Purchase of 1803. Yeah, it's kind of a big one. Look at all the land we got. Got a ton of land on that one. Number 2, the ratification of the Constitution in 1789. Yeah, kind of splitting up the whole American Revolution thing, but sure. And number 1, the Declaration of Independence. Yeah, that should be on there too. I mean, I guess if you separate the two, sure, these should be the first two all the time. All right, now going to right-wing news. I don't know right-wing news, but this is from 2006, and it looked pretty good, so whatever. All right, so he's got more of a timeline deal. But this is 25 greatest moments in American history in order of when they happened. So, number 1, Declaration of Independence signed. Excuse me. Yeah. So, yeah, I think we could all agree, Declaration of Independence. Or if you say American Revolution, numero uno. 1776, Washington's surprise strike and victory at Trenton. That's a pretty big one, too. I mean, if you don't put the whole revolution in one big ball, sure. Number 3, 1781, Washington's victory at Yorktown with the help of the French. And that's basically the end of the war. So, yeah. Then 1789, the Constitution is ratified. Yeah, so, again, you could kind of separate that. 1791, Bill of Rights ratified. 1803, the Louisiana Purchase. 1805, Lewis and Clark. Agreed. 1814, Andrew Jackson defeats the Brits at the Battle of New Orleans in a fight that took place after the war had already ended. Had the British controlled New Orleans, which was a vital American port at the time, they might have wrung more concessions out of America. 1836, Sam Houston and a group of Texas, outnumbered 2-1 by the Mexican army, got revenge for the Alamo in the Battle of San Jacinto. Jacinto? I don't know. I'm not saying that right. Jacinto. San Jacinto. The victory and the capture soon after of Santa Ana secured the freedom of Texas, cleared the way for them to eventually join the United States. 1846, the Oregon Treaty made with Britain officially brings Washington, Oregon, Idaho, and parts of Montana and Wyoming into the U.S. Not so sure we got the best deal with Oregon and Washington these days. 1848. After being defeated in the Mexican-American War, Mexico was forced to sign the Treaty of Guadalupe Hidalgo, which granted America control of Texas as well as California, Nevada, and Utah, parts of Colorado, Arizona, New Mexico, and Wyoming in return for about $18 million. Sounds like a good deal. And you say we can't get Mexico to pay for the wall? Look at what we did in 1848. 1863, Abraham Lincoln frees the slaves in the South, technically at least, with the Emancipation Proclamation. So that was a good thing. 1864, Sherman's victory in Atlanta not only helped hasten the end of the war, it likely was the key factor that led to Abraham Lincoln defeating George McClellan in the November election. Had McClellan won, he made it clear he intended to cut and run rather than press to victory. That would have been interesting. 1898, America crushes the Spanish fleet in the Philippines, which cemented our position as a world power. Not so sure that was a great one, but okay. In 1903, the Wright brothers are the first in flight. That's a big one. 1908, the Model T Ford, the first car cheap enough for the general public to afford, becomes available. 1914, the 48-mile-long Panama Canal is completed. Another big one. Wow, it was 1914. Think about that. Think about digging that canal in 1914. That's crazy. All the malaria. 48 miles. See, we can engineer stuff. We can do it. 1918, World War I ends in victory for the Allied forces after the German surrender. Yeah, I mean, we never should have been in it, but yeah. 1920, for the first time, American women allowed to vote. I really want to make jokes here, but I'm gonna pass on those jokes. So, good luck, ladies, voting. 1945, World War II ends in victory for the Allied forces after the Japanese surrender. Another big victory. 1947, America helps rebuild Europe after World War II with the Marshall Plan. Yeah, I'm not so sure we should have sent all that money, but whatever. 1950, and what was perhaps the most brilliant military maneuver in American history, Douglas MacArthur lands behind the North Korean lines at Incheon. Subsequent strikes against the Norks broke their army, and the only entry of the Chinese into the war kept Korea from being reunited. Yeah, I guess you can include that one. Again, I don't think we should have been involved with that, but this is right-wing news. 1964 Civil Rights Act. Yeah, it should be on the list. 25, I would put it on the list, not 10. 1969, Neil Armstrong lands on first man to walk on the moon. 1989, Berlin Wall came tumbling down. Yeah, see, that to me makes more sense than Bruce Springsteen singing there. So yeah, so not a bad list, not a bad list. But then we go to Time magazine. Time magazine has gone through a lot of changes over the years. I used to remember reading Time magazine in like doctors and dentist office back when magazines were still a thing. And towards the end, you know, Time and Newsweek both got cutesy with the magazine. They were trying to attract new and younger readers. And because magazines were starting to die. This is right before the internet, because there was a wave of what we called zines, right? People doing their own magazines, and there were so many of them. Like the market was just flooded with these things. You know, you would go to Barnes and Noble or Borders, and it'd just be racks and racks, all kinds of crazy magazines that were only in the bookstore. And some of them were very interesting. Some of them were a bunch of wasted time. You'd be like, who the hell would read this? But, you know, Time and Newsweek, even then, I think were considered very passé. But look at the 25 moments from American history that matter right now is their angle. And look at the picture. Nixon and Mao. That's the picture you're going with. You're talking about America's great moments, and that's the picture you choose. All right. So, explorers bridged the Pacific 1564 to 65. It's nothing to do with America. America wasn't even around. So, right away, no. Georgia law takes Cherokee land. I not so sure that you could say this was a positive thing, but I guess it matters. J. Marion Sims opens his hospital. Well, that's kind of cool. Was this like the first hospital? He was a pioneering gynecologist, credited with establishing the country's first women's hospital in Manhattan in 1855. But in fact, the women's hospital in the state of New York was not the first such institution he opened. In 1844, Sims had his slaves build a women's hospital in Mount Megas, Alabama, expressly for experimenting on enslaved women. Oh my God, who suffered from various conditions. Oh my God, that sounds horrible. Why are these on the list? Oregon Treaty that defines Canadian border. Okay, that seems like something that should have happened. Commodore Perry reaches Tokyo. Okay. Defying Japanese restrictions on international traffic, Commodore Matthew Perry sailed his steam-powered ships in the Edo, Tokyo Bay, heavily armed and belching smoke. Although his exercise in gunboat diplomacy culminated in the 1854 Treaty of Kanagawa, establishing trade relations between the U.S. and Japan, Perry deserves less credit for changes in Japanese foreign policy than he has received. Other factors were already in play. Okay. Abraham Lincoln reminds America of its founding principles. Yeah, he made a lot of pronouncements, but after reading about the pronouncements you don't hear about in D. Lorenzo's book on Lincoln, yeah, he's kind of a big phony, and you could see the politician in Lincoln when you read about some of his other proclamations. But there's kind of a worship cult around Lincoln. Ida B. Wells releases Southern Horrors. So, not sure what this is. But, so, this is a book about people, and it's true, apparently, that people murdered by lynch mobs. I guess that's important. I don't know if I'd put it as the most important on the list, but that's pretty important. Supreme Court sets Puerto Rico apart. Yeah, that's weird. Puerto Rico should have just been made a state. It should be a state. It would probably get more money and be built up better. I think they want to keep it the way it is. I don't even know what this one is. The Moose Argonne campaign begins in 1918. It's the greatest U.S. military contribution to World War I. Yeah, I don't think we should have been involved with World War I, but okay. Bryan and Darrow faced off on the Scopes trial. Okay, that kind of important, sure. Dust Bowl hits its most infamous day. Yeah, the whole Dust Bowl thing is a big deal. American Nazis meet in Los Angeles. I wouldn't call it a big thing, but yeah, it happened. There's a few other instances that happened. This is 6 months after the bad guy from Germany became the Chancellor of Germany, but this is before the war. So some of these guys were, some of the people who protested were hip to what was going on, but some people just weren't. You'd be surprised at some of the people who supported the bad guy from Germany back in the day. Again, this is supposed to be about America. It just seems like this is a list to tear down America. Here's a good one. The bald eagle gets federal protection. Again, I wouldn't put it on the big list, but sure. President Truman orders racial equality in the military. I guess, I'm not sure he achieved it, but he ordered it. Eisenhower effectively bans LGBT people from government. Okay. I think, again, I don't have any problem with gay people being in. I think trans people probably have too many issues for the military to be dealing with. And again, it's supposed to be uniforms, conformity in the army, the military. Maybe there's some other way you can serve. I don't know if the military is for you. I definitely don't think we should be paying for a lot of operations and, hormone treatments that, in my view, don't even work. The U.S. begins mass deportation of Mexican migrants June 1954. Well, I think we're about to see that again on steroids. Ella Barker makes a plea deal for Black Lives August 6, 1964. Okay, I mean, I'm sure it was a here we go. Martin Luther King is assaulted in Chicago. I mean, MLK to me would be the big one. And how about the march at Selma? I mean, the Tierra Amarilla courthouse is raided. 67. Armed Mexican Americans stormed a courthouse in the tiny town of Tierra Amarilla, New Mexico, led by a charismatic ex-preacher named Reyes Lopez. These seem very obscure. Nixon meet Mao. Yeah, I don't know if you'd call that a win, but whatever. Kind of created some problems now. New York City teachers go on strike. Definitely shouldn't be on this list. Ronald Reagan speaks of the welfare queen. Definitely should not be on this list. Activists invade Koalawi. I don't even know what that is. It's somewhere in Hawaii. Genetically modified organisms become eligible for patents. 1980. Yeah, that might have been a mistake too. I don't know. Anita Hill speaks up on harassment. Yeah, I'm looking back on this whole incident with different eyes now. Seems like it was a hit job on Clarence Thomas, but that's your list. Time. Weird list. Note, they say 25 moments from American history that matter right now. So that's the out, I guess. Moving on to something happier, hopefully. The top 10 most important events in American history. Okay. All right. So give me some happier ones here. The American Revolution, yes. The Civil War. Well, you kind of can't get past it, sure. The Louisiana Purchase, yeah, sure. Number 3. Number 4, the September 11th. I don't know if it would be 4. I mean, it's a big one. I don't know if it would be 4. Number 5, moon landing. Yes. 6, the Manhattan Project. Yes. 7, the Great Depression. Oh, yeah, we didn't mention that. Probably a big one. Kind of encapsulates the Dust Bowl and everything. Number 8, the War of 1812. Yeah, that's a big one, too. Nearly, the whole thing nearly fell apart. Number 9, the Alaska Purchase. Yeah, we're talking about the land. And the completion of the Transcontinental Railroad. Another big one. Number 11, the Spanish-American War. Pretty big war. Let me think about that one. I don't know. Not sure. 11. Number 12, France gives the United States the Statue of Liberty. That's kind of a cool one. I think it should be on the list. Maybe. 13, the COVID pandemic. Maybe we should have 2 lists, the bad ones and the good ones. Yeah, this is sort of a worldwide one. Number 14, the attack on Pearl Harbor. That's a big one. The assassination of JFK. Yeah, another big one. Winning World War II. Probably should be higher on the list than 16. The 2021 storming of the United States Capitol should absolutely not be on the list. No, we're not done with that one yet. 18, the death of Osama bin Laden. Yeah, maybe. The inauguration of Joe Biden. What? Are you nuts? Who the hell would put this on the list? The election of Barack Obama. Number 20. you're kind of in the realm, but probably should be a little further down the list. Definitely should be below the assassination of Abraham Lincoln. Kind of more important. 22, the Trail of Tears. That was a bad thing. The election of Donald Trump, 23. I think you're going to move this. The re-election of Donald Trump's going to be much higher on this list. The creation of the Hollywood movie industry. Oh, boy. Oh, hold the phone. Maybe the invention of the movie, the movie camera to begin with should be on the list. I don't know about the creation of Hollywood. It didn't really, man, it is a big industry. I mean, but if we're talking about that, there's so many other things that were created by the United States. Hollywood's a big one. In 25, the Truman Doctrine, first declaration of opposition to communism. That's a big one, I guess. The death of John McCain? Are you people nuts? Come on. You've got recency bias. 27, Kamala Harris becomes first female and first black vice president of the United States. Yeah, it's not really all that relevant. 28, Watergate scandal. I think that ranks a little higher than Kamala Harris. The 1918 flu pandemic, maybe. The 2018 North Korea, United States, Singapore summit. And then the Hanoi summit, maybe. How about the Abraham Accords? Woodstock. At 32, probably could go a little lower. Lower. The inauguration of Barack Obama. We already said the election of him. The election of Joe Biden shouldn't be on the list. No. Come on. Who picked this? Oh, hit the wrong button. Hold on. Next up, 12 great moments in American history from Politician Compare. I don't know this site either. All right. The American Revolution. Well, we can all agree on that. Adding amendments to the Constitution. Okay, sure. I mean, the Constitution. Louisiana Purchase. I think we got the top three pretty well set here. The Emancipation Proclamation. Yeah, I'd agree with that too. Women's suffrage. Yeah, should be on there. 1936 Olympics with Jesse Owens. Yeah. The storming of Normandy Beach. Yeah. Okay. The end of World War II, but that's not the end, but it's a big victory. The National Highway System. Kind of, yeah, I would put it on the list. I don't know if I'd put it there, but Civil Rights Act, sure. Moon landing, sure. The internet. Oh, yeah. That's a big one. But again, it's more world than specifically the United States, but we did mostly invent it, so sure. Obama election. Yeah, recency bias. What is this list from? This is like from 2009. No, it's from 2020. You're still talking about Barack. You put in a list of 12 great moments in U.S. history, you put Barack Obama's election over the moon landing. Oh, did we have that? No, the moon landing was on there. You equate that to the National Highway System? It's weird. The assassination of Lincoln? Great moments. I mean, I don't know. Don't get me wrong, it's a positive moment. I mean, his election, but I think you're rating it a little too high. And finally, here's the Encyclopedia Britannica. 26 decade-defining events in U.S. history. So what this does is it goes through every 10 years and then picks the biggest event in that decade. Okay? So this one's a pretty interesting list. So let's go through it. 1770s, Declaration of Independence, of course. 1780s, Constitution, of course. 1790s, Whiskey Rebellion. Yeah, this is like the one big mistake Washington made. Kind of rough. 1800s, Louisiana Purchase. Yes. So we all agree on that. 1810s, Battle of New Orleans. Yes. Monroe Doctrine. Another big one. 1820s. 1830s, Era of the Common Man. Okay. This was Andrew Jackson, U.S. President, was said to have ushered in the era of the common man. Good for him. While suffrage had been broadly expanded beyond men of property, it was not the result of Jackson's efforts. Despite careful propagation of his image as a champion of popular democracy and as a man of the people, he was much more likely to align himself with the influential than the have-nots, with the creditor rather than the debtor. Jacksonian democracy talked a good game for people of the street, but delivered little. Disagree, because this guy kept the central bank from forming. I believe he did that. And we didn't have a central bank in those days, so it was good times. Treaty of Guadalupe Hidalgo, okay, brought a close to the Mexican-American War. The Dred Scott decision. Wasn't this... Yeah, it set up the election for 1860, Abraham Lincoln as president, which ultimately precipitated a secession and war. I don't think you'd say that's good, but it was a big decision. Battle of Gettysburg during the war, sure. Battle of the Little Bighorn, pretty big deal. So we weren't saying these are good or bad. The decade defining. Haymarket Affair in the 1880s. It's about the robber barons and the Gilded Age. A protest meeting related to one of the nearly 1,600 strikes conducted during the 1886 was disrupted by the explosion of a bomb that killed 7 policemen at the Haymarket riot in Chicago. Many people blamed the violence on organized labor, which went into decline until the turn of the century. So, who planted the bomb? Well, I don't know much about it, but it could go either way, right? It could have been, the mob guys were probably had their mitts all up in the unions on the one hand, but on the other hand, could have been that it was planted in order to discredit the union. 1890s, Plessy versus Ferguson. With the end of Reconstruction in the 1870s, the enactment of Jim Crow laws enforced racial segregation in the South. Yeah, probably not a great idea. Breakup of Northern Securities in 1900s. This was Teddy Roosevelt, and he was going after the monopolies. Not so sure he succeeded. He was a progressive, Theodore Roosevelt, but he had some good points, I guess. I mean, he's kind of cool. The sinking of the Lusitania. Yeah, that was a big deal. Kind of drew us into the war. So, yeah, not a good thing. Stock market crash, 1920s. FDR's first fireside chat in the 1930s. 1940s, the atomic bombing of Hiroshima and Nagasaki. So, kind of, the World War II is in that mix, but not chosen as a defining moment in the decade for some reason. 1950s, U.S. Army McCarthy hearings. Yeah, this is looking more and more interesting to me. Of all the stuff I hear about communist and communist infiltration at the time, that McCarthy turned out to be right. He just kind of couldn't... he kind of just got blasted by Hollywood. So it'll be interesting to see if in the future sometime historians adopt a more truthful sort of version of history about Hollywood and how red it was. That could be very interesting. Oh, hey, Arden's here. Arden, happy up yours. We'll start our own country with blackjacks and hookers day. Arden, 1812? Hello, Arden. Sorry, I didn't see you there. Been here by myself for a while. Good to see you. Um, yeah, I doing this thing, Just figured I'd do a live stream at a different time in the middle of the week when no one could see me. Yeah, I wasn't sure I was going to do it for a lot of reasons. I'm just so busy right now. But I definitely can't do a live stream on Sunday. It'll be, there's no way I could do it. I'd either have to do it so early, it would be ridiculous, or I'd have to do it so late, definitely nobody would say it. Ardent, Patton and McCarthy were both right. Yeah, it turns out. So, when are we going to admit that in this country? I don't know. Seems like that's the way it's going, but it's taken a while. The 1960s assassination of Martin Luther King. Sure. It's a big one. 1970s Watergate. Sure. 1980s PATCO strike. The air traffic controllers going on strike during the 80s? That's the biggest thing you could take out of the 80s? I don't know, man. Seems an awfully specific pinpoint for Reagan's presidency. I would pick the Berlin Wall. Yeah, I would pick the Berlin Wall over the PATCO strike. Come on. 1990s Monica Lewinsky affair. Maybe you heard of this little thing called the Kosovo War. I mean, how about that? It was a scandal. I don't know if it defined the friggin' decade. Ardent, Iran-Contra was bigger. Yeah, there's that. There's that, too. What about the internet? I think the internet should be in this mix, too. I think the internet, or the development of the personal computer, both those things changed it all. 2000, September 11 attacks. Well, I agree with this for the 2000s. That was the defining event of the decade, certainly. I don't know where I'd put it on a scale of American events. I think I would put it further down, but for the decade, absolutely, 100%. 2010s, the election of Donald Trump. Ardent, cell phone, yeah. Specifically the iPhone, the smartphone, I would say. There's almost too many to jam in. Maybe you could just say technology. I mean, yeah, cell phones really changing things too, because the thing is, it's like when I was doing, for instance, internet dating in the early to mid 90s, it was very primitive. I was doing it on my PC. You couldn't do it. The only way you could do it on your phone was they had a way. This is a weird bit of trivia. They had a way you could do the dating. Ardent 90s, the Y2K freak out. That to me would be on the list of the dumbest things of the decade. But you could date using personal ads. It would be like personal ads in a newspaper, and then these numbers you would call, and then you would punch in a code, and then you could leave messages for each other. So it was kind of almost an analog system to the online dating they have now. And I actually went on one. I caught the very tail end of that because a friend of mine did it, and he said, "Oh, you should try the." I don't think they called it internet dating. I forget what they called it. It was like, oh, you do this thing where you call people on the phone and stuff. And I actually went on one date with this crazy gothy punk girl who, she was almost too much for me back then. It was almost like a culture shock that she was so gothy and punky. Like I think I got a little intimidated, and I don't know what I did. I think I got mad at her for something she said or something, and I just sort of wrote her off and said, I'm never seeing her again. I was kind of a jerk back in the day. These days, like looking back on that, I'm like, oh man, she would have been cool to date. especially in the '90s when like goth and punk was still kind of cool. But yeah, I didn't pursue it, but it was weird to meet people on the phone that way. And then I graduated over to the internet. But anyhow, my point is, you could see the difference with the smartphones, because prior to the smartphones, most people who did the internet dating thing had to have a PC, right? You had to have a PC to really do it. And then when they upgraded it, when Tinder basically came out, it upgraded to the phone and made it quick and easy so people could do the internet dating. And now everybody's freaking in the mix, which is kind of annoying. It's kind of annoying. On the one hand, it has brought people into the mix that, you know, I've dated a few women who said, yeah, I held out the internet dating thing for years and years and years, and now finally I had to do it. So it's brought in people who normally they wouldn't do it at all, but now they're finally doing it because it's kind of like, yeah, everybody's doing it and I have to do it if I want to get a date, kind of thing. And it is efficient, but the downside, of course, is every wacko is on these things now. You cannot imagine the wackos I see on the dating apps. There, for a while, there was a guy doing a YouTube thing on every whacked out girl who was on these dating sites. And it was really good video, but I have to imagine he was getting flagged left and right because he was showing the pictures and everything. There's kind of no way you could do it without making it too personal. I thought about doing it, but I was just like, it's not nice to single someone out, even if they have a terrible, terrible profile. But man, some of these profiles are the worst. They're so bad. You've never seen anything like it. You know, every once in a while they'll post something from like Tinder, some girl who's just like friggin' giving it up to everybody, and it's just a crazy, you don't even know if it's real. Ardent GTG phone call. Oh, have a good fourth. Have a good fourth to you, my friend. Thanks for stopping in. So, nuts. Absolutely insane. Anyhow, it was a bit of a tangent. 2010s, the election of Donald Trump. Yes, as we go through history, this is going to become more and more big. The election of Trump and then the re-election of Trump will be two of the biggest events in history. And then 2020 to COVID-19. Yeah. Very, very defining moment. Hopefully we can finally put it behind us. I think somebody's trying to do a sequel to this friggin' epic. And I hope that fails bigly. Because, well, I can't say too much about it on YouTube because YouTube is a-hole. But, yeah, I hope it fails bigly. All right. So that was United States history. Now, what did I decide to talk about? I decided history, movies. What was the other thing? Oh, news. Yeah, I figured I'd do some news while I'm at it. So that was the history. And the other history I wanted to talk about was just the history I know about the American Revolution. I was like, I know all the South Jersey history. Most of it, anyway. I'm getting more and more spun up. But my favorite part of the history, of course, is tied into Bloody John Bacon, who was a real pirate during the Revolutionary War. And this is part of my spiel when I do my talk. Him and his men committed the Long Beach Island Massacre in 1782. And I've talked about this before. So, as I understand it, what happened was the American sailors, a group of American sailors, went up to Long Beach Island, which is now all resorty type area. And but back then there was a lighthouse. I don't know if the lighthouse was there. I think it might have been there, or it was going to be there soon. But anyhow, they had gone to this beach, and there was a bunch of scuttled ships in the bay. And the idea was they made camp, and they were going to get up the next morning and start recovering the scuttled ships for the war effort. And so they made camp, and I don't think they left a guy to guard the camp or whatever. And Bloody John Bacon and his men crept up, and started killing the American sailors in their sleep. Now, these were American sailors. And just started murdering them. And they killed, I think, 18 guys total. And it was considered practically a war crime at the time. Very dishonorable. There's a plaque up in LBI near the lighthouse to the event. But he got away. And then Bloody John Bacon continued to fight guerrilla sort of warfare under the radar of the British government. I think he was secretly being funded by them. Or maybe not so secretly. I haven't read every single thing about it. But he eventually ended up in the last official battle of the American Revolution. The last official battle took place, I'm told, at the Cedar Bridge Tavern in the Pine Barrens in December. So it's the very last battle of the American Revolution. Official. And there were actually 3 factions. There were the Patriots, Bloody John Bacon, and the Brits. And then there was a third faction, which I don't quite understand. I guess you'd call them the Quakers, who kind of were sort of neutral to the whole thing. But every year in the Pine Barrens at the Cedar Bridge Tavern, which still stands, they reenact it. They have a fife and drum and guys in muskets and the whole... I went there one time. It was great. It was the most awesome thing I've ever seen. And so they reenact it, and there's a guy playing Bloody John Bacon and everything. And they do the battle, but he gets away. And they used to do the battle on the day, but the day is like... I think the day is like December 23rd or 24th. It's like really close to Christmas. I forget the exact day. Or maybe right after. So they decided they couldn't keep doing it on that day because it was hard to get people to come out like right before or right after Christmas. So now they moved it up. They do it around like the 10th of December. So he got away. And then after the war, and I always tell this part of the story, but there's 2 versions of how Bloody John Bacon may have died. The first version is he ended up in the Rose Tavern back in LBI trying to steal another ship. And Captain John Stewart confronted him in the tavern. And there was like a back and forth. And Bacon eventually went for his flintlock. And Captain Stewart ended up stabbing him through the heart with a bayonet. They dragged his body through the street. And the townspeople were so angry they were going to bury him in the middle of the road so he wouldn't have a Christian funeral. But his brother, Bacon's brother, showed up and said, please don't, let me give my brother a proper funeral, Christian funeral. My brother was a loyalist like you used to be, so please have mercy. And the crowd relented, and he's buried in the Arneytown Cemetery across from the massive military veterans cemetery today. This is in Arneytown, New Jersey. Another version of the story, however, he wasn't in the Rose Tavern. He was in the house of William Rose, who he robbed and basically kind of took over the house. I think he drove him out. I don't think he killed him, although he might have. And they cornered him in the house, and there was a fight, and they killed him in the house. And the same sort of story somehow. So I'm not sure what exactly the fate of Bloody John Bacon, but he was killed in sort of like being apprehended, because there was not going to be any mercy for him. If he wasn't, if he was captured, if he had surrendered, they just would have hung him. They were hanging guys that didn't really hurt anybody. They hung Joe Mulliner, and he didn't hurt anybody. Now, he robbed people, but he didn't hurt anybody. And he claimed, Joe Mulliner claimed, to have a letter of marque from the Brits, which was never proven, but he was treated like a bandit at the time. They hung bandits. If you robbed houses in South Jersey right around the time of the Revolutionary War, they'd capture you and they'd hang you. They'd hang you for being a bandit. Yeah. So, don't be a bandit. As the Lotus Eaters say, we were a proper country once. Now, I'm against capital punishment. because I think the government, too out of control, would hang far too many people too quickly. They'd be super efficient. Oh, if you don't think the government's efficient? Oh, they'd be efficient at killing you if they could. If they were allowed to kill people on small amounts of evidence and for reasons that weren't particularly egregious, like banditry, like guys who are robbing your house, I think you should be able to own a gun and shoot them, but I don't think you should execute a guy that robbed your house. Especially if he didn't hurt anybody. He should go to jail, but he shouldn't be executed. Anyhow, that's just my personal opinion. But that's my little tidbit of American history that I love. Also, Joe Mulliner. His is a little more folk tale-y because he was considered kind of like a good guy in terms of being a bandit anyway. I keep finding more information about him, which I find very fascinating. I still haven't made it to his gravesite. Oh, man. I got to wait till the fall now because the underbrush is so thick in the Pine Barrens right now. You don't want to go down. You don't want to walk through it in shorts because you'll get ticks. If I wore long pants, but then it'd be super hot. It's very summery. So I'm just going to wait until the fall, and most of the undergrowth will be dead, and I'll be able to wear long pants. And my thinking is to get to the gravesite, I'm going to bring a scythe with me, and I'm just going to hack myself a path like I'm a freaking jungle guy. The jungle guys have machetes. I'm just going to get one of those lawn scythes because the underbrush is only up to your knees, but still, it'll have ticks on it. You don't want that. All right, let's wrap up with some news headlines and do a little bit of news. I don't know if I'm going to get to doing a news thing today. I don't know how many videos I'm even going to do today because I just got stuff to do, and it's a holiday, and you guys aren't even watching this. You're watching this later, like, oh, Tony did a live stream. Yes, I did. I know. I wasn't sure. I always do this. I'm never sure if I'm going to be able to do it, so I don't commit to it. I should have posted it earlier, but I wasn't 100% I was going to be able to do this. I was kind of 75% there. In fact, I ended up staying up till 4 in the morning last night. I almost bailed completely on it. Oh, excuse me. But in terms of the live stream that we normally do for Hollywoke, Hot Take, I'm going to try to do one. Maybe I'll do one on Monday. Going to have to make a short one because, man, it's just busy. It's a busy time of year. It's July, baby. It's America's birthday. All right, so let's see what happened in the news. Just get a little bit from Dissenter. 4th of July shooting in Texas leaves several injured. At least nobody died. Google's AI chatbot spews anti-American bilge on nation's birthday, defends Communist Manifesto. And that is not, repeat, not a Babylon Bee article. So, what the hell, man? Here's from Media Research Center. One day before July 4th, MRC reveals Google's artificial intelligence Gemini is programmed to be anti-American. 10 responses from showing Google's AI's anti-American bias. Okay, let's take a look at this thing. Gemini claims it's not anti-American. Okay, so here's the list. 1. Should Americans celebrate the 4th of July holiday? It appears it doesn't like it. Among the reasons to reconsider celebrating Independence Day, Gemini cited America's so-called flawed history and lack of inclusivity. Oh, man. Number 2, 1619 versus 1776. Gemini mixes Americans' birth year. Oh, my God. They put the 1619 project into this thing? Not good. Gemini shuts down the Star-Spangled Banner. That's number 3. Claimed it's a source of controversy. It is not. Number 4, is the Communist Manifesto more important than the U.S. Declaration of Independence? Gemini claimed that determining whether the U.S. Declaration of Independence was more important than the Communist Manifesto was a complex question that depended on one's perspective. Number 5, is the Pledge of Allegiance offensive? Gemini says, of course it is. Oh no. As expected, Gemini claimed the pledge was not offensive to everyone, but some consider it controversial. Gemini aligns response to whether America is exceptional with BLM and Russia. Okay. It's not okay. Why would you use this? Number 7, does America's Judeo-Christian heritage make it exceptional? Gemini, I don't know. Well, I'll have to give it that one. Come on. What do you even mean by that? Number 8, Gemini's influence peddling for Xi Jinping. Don't like that. Gemini may have attempted to unsuccessfully conceal its anti-American sentiment by diverting MRC to Google search, but gladly cited the communist Chinese government to criticize American system of governance. Yeah, that's no bueno. Number 9, Gemini claims identified good guys in World War II. Not a simple answer. Oh, geez. And number 10, Gemini undermines the U.S. Constitution. Not surprised there. Jesus. What the hell, Google? All right, going back to the headlines. Biden has 5 days to prove himself, says top donor. Now, look. Biden, you're stuck with Biden. You are stuck. And couldn't happen to a nicer party. You're stuck with him. What do you want from me? You picked him. We all told you he was a mummy. He shouldn't be running. He was too old. Oh no, he's not old. He's not cognitively impaired. He's an old mummy. We told you. We told you he didn't win. He didn't win the election. You idiots. If you had just run a fair election, Donald Trump would be finishing up his second term right now. Right now. You would have had time to rebuild your party. Think about it. All right, so Trump, let's say the reality happened and it was a fair fight and Trump gets reelected. What happens? Okay, there's still a bunch of protests, but gas is still less than $2 a gallon. The economy is roaring ahead like nobody's business. We're making money. Nobody would give an F. Nobody would give a flying F. Oh, it'd be morning in America. I'd probably be doing pretty well. Probably. I'd certainly be going out to eat more because that's what I love to do and I can't afford it anymore. Thanks, Joe Biden. People wouldn't have lost their houses. We'd be roaring back from the pandemic. Roaring back. And yeah, the Democrats would still be trying to hobble Trump, but we'd probably have the wall built. Immigration would be under control. And then Democrats, you could have recontextualized. You could have spent 4 years recontextualizing everything as if you were part of all the great changes and said, well, yeah, America's great and everything, but you Republicans could have made it greater. You could have done one of those. And you'd already be building up somebody. I mean, maybe Gavin Newsom, because even Gavin Newsom couldn't screw up a Trump economy. Even Gavin Newsom would be able to look back and go, well, see, California's in great shape now. Now, it would be Donald Trump's policies that did it, that you were against, but you could just pretend and take credit for it. But you didn't do that. Instead, you elected a mummy. And now the mummy is, well, he's turned on you. It's the curse of mummies. And I think it's partly because he doesn't want Hunter to go to jail. And the only way he can make that happen, I guarantee it, is to be reelected. Partly. You've opened the door to having Trump prosecuted. So guess what? Biden is a vindictive old man. So he has to assume that everybody else is just as evil and vindictive. This is the problem with liars. This is the problem with people like Joe Biden. They assume you're just as evil as them. Well, I'd stab you, so you're going to stab me. That's not necessarily true, and they don't get it. But they think that. So when he's looking at Trump, and Trump's no slouch. He's, he can be mean. But whether or not he would prosecute Biden, I don't know. I don't know if he would or not. But Biden, I think, is 100% convinced he will be prosecuted. So rather than risk Trump prosecuting him, he's got to run. He's got to run. And it's nearly impossible to remove him. The only way to remove Biden would be to kill him. And I don't think they're going to kill their own guy. Now, they might. But you got Hunter there and Jill. And I think they both have reason to protect Joe. And keep this grift going. But I think they might get at him anyway. Somebody's going to get at Joe. I think they're going to get at his meds. And he's just going to get worse and worse and worse. But there will come a time. Now, they might try it, like, for instance, this month would be my prediction. Like, if they get him out by the end of the month, if they could mess up his meds or, push him down the stairs or whatever this month, then maybe they have a shot with Kamala, maybe? Or if they could convince him just to, we're going to give you a bunch of money, we're not going to prosecute Hunter, the whole thing. I don't know. I don't know if they'll be able to do that. But let's just say they do. They lose with Kamala. You lose with Kamala. She's somehow less popular than Biden. You might get a bump for like a hot minute, but I don't think it'll be much. I don't think it'll be enough to overcome Trump. No way. No freaking way. So she loses. Now you're in the weeds. And I think your whole party's in trouble. Yeah. Your whole party's in trouble. The down ballot tickets will be the ones that we have to watch out for. And I think those are corrupt too. So, and a lot of guys, the donors are already talking. We got to put all our money in the down ballot races. And that's going to be effed up. If a bunch of Democrats get elected, for instance, in the House, just because donors just started pouring money into local elections, that would suck. We got to watch the down ballot as well. That's why you have to vote red for everything. Paint the whole country red. My view. White House explains we finally beat Medicare debate flub. There's no explaining it. There's no explaining it. The explanation is he's an old, demented old man. Trump wants Biden to stay in race. WAPO. Sure. Why wouldn't he? Why wouldn't he? He gets his revenge. He beats Biden. He wants to beat him in the popular vote. He wants to beat him and beat him in the popular vote. And he's headed for that. He's cruising towards that. Don't let up, but he is. But we got to make sure everybody votes, and we got to make sure these guys don't cheat, because they're going to cheat again. In the old days, they would have given up cheating. They would have said, it's not worth it. We can't do it. I don't know about these days. Watch. Leaked video shows Trump called Biden broken down pile of crap. Kamala's so effing bad. They released this video, this secret video, as if this made Trump look bad. As if people would go, oh, horror. Oh, horror of horror. Donald Trump talks that way? Does Donald Trump actually talk that way on a golf course? As if everybody who supports Trump isn't already saying that. People are nuts. This is how out of touch they are. They released that video like, see the shocking video. Oh, shocking. To who? Who is that shocking to? It's not even shocking to the people who support Biden. Because they already think Trump talks that way. People are nuts. I'm only going to do dissenter, by the way. Next educational indoctrination, pro-terror curriculum. It's a bit much. This is from the Patriot Post via WND. But the teachers union does have to go. They are very pro-Marxist. So I think they have to go. Reagan star Dennis Quaid calls for Americans to get their act together. Okay. All right, fair enough. I'm trying, Dennis. I'm trying. Supreme Court throws out pro-gun group's assault weapons and magazine ban case. This is National Association for Gun Rights. A rare loss for them. Bummer. Sticks and Hammer may have something to say about that. Emails from the Biden campaign seem to confirm he will remain on the ballot. They can't get rid of him. Sticks and Hammer pointed out today that Nevada and Wisconsin, according to their laws, unless Biden dies, unless Biden is 25th in a legal manner, he will not be replaced in Nevada and Wisconsin. Wisconsin just neutralizes it, and in Nevada, you would throw it to Trump. So Biden couldn't get the delegates in Wisconsin, and he'd lose the delegates in Nevada, which I think he's probably going to get anyway. Trump will. So Shaq hooks up with the viral Hawk Tuah girl in Bon Jovi's Nashville club. Did he really hook up with her, or he just met her? I mean, I don't blame him. He's single now. Meanwhile, in Delaware, the battle of supplemental authority rages on in Hunter Biden's gun case. Let's see. Saudi Arabia sentences comedy producer to jail over Netflix cartoon endorsing extremist ideas. Oh no, who is this? Are these the guys from that cartoon that I reviewed? Yes, this is like the most important, not most important, but the most popular cartoon in Saudi Arabia. People love this. Yeah, Massimir. It's like it's being referred to as a Saudi version of South Park. It's pretty good cartoon. It's a little confusing to me because I don't know the ins and outs of Saudi Arabia. But man, when I did a review of this and I reviewed the show, first I did a review of like a trailer, and then people went nuts from Saudi Arabia. Oh, you saw our show. We love this show. It's great. You got to watch it. You got to watch it. So then they had a movie, and I think I reviewed that. And they also had a new TV show, and I reviewed that too. And it's all been on Netflix. I guess it's a Netflix cartoon. I guess are they financing it now? But it is huge over there. Huge. But it's very interesting, too, because I don't really know the culture that much, but I learned a bunch about it, watching the cartoon. And every once in a while it gets, like, for instance, in one cartoon, he just starts rattling off, I think, Quran verses. One of the characters he lifts up the Quran, and he just starts saying a bunch of stuff from the Quran, I think. And another version of another episode of the cartoon, they start talking about political stuff. I have no idea what they're talking about, but at one point the characters are living in a public bathroom that like they have no place to live, but the government runs the public bathroom, and for some reason they're living in it, and then they transform it into a restaurant at some point. It's very weird. Very weird. So I didn't know this guy's going to jail. He's facing prison time over tweets he posted a decade ago and a Netflix cartoon he co-created, both of which the dictatorship claimed promoted homosexuality and extremist ideas. I don't remember a single gay moment in that cartoon, but Abdulaziz Al-Muzani, who was born in Texas but spent the majority of his life in the kingdom, was sentenced to 13 years in jail last year by a court initially set up to prosecute Al-Qaeda terrorists. His punishment, which also includes a 30-year travel ban, was upheld by an appellate court. However, he was vowed to exhaust all other avenues of appeal. The show, Massimir, has been referred to as a Saudi version of South Park due to its tackling of serious societal issues in a humorous way. This is all from Human Events, by the way. Al-Muzani signed a 5-year deal with Netflix that saw 2 seasons of the show produced, along with a movie. Despite the court's verdict, by the way, the movie had like almost like a a Comic-Con in Saudi Arabia, which was kind of cool. Despite the court's verdict, none of the show's episodes, even the one which depicts the main character joining ISIS and finding a giant ice cream cone after killing himself, have been pulled. The tweets, however, appear to have been a driving factor in its conviction. According to the Wall Street Journal, the court initially found that Al-Muzaini was guilty of endorsing extremist ideas while attempting to destabilize the social fabric of national unity. One 2015 tweet he wrote, quote, "Nobody can save the Palestine but God. Arab countries can barely save themselves." Oh, man. Others supported women's right or suggested you cannot live in Riyadh unless you get high. Oh, man. The kingdom don't like that. "I never thought it would reach this phase," Mr. Al-Muzaini said in a social media video posted, then he quickly deleted, per New York Times, "especially given that there are people and officials whom I'm grateful but won't mention who reassured me that the issue didn't deserve all this and said to be patient and it will be resolved bureaucratically." Wow. Mazimir came about following societal reform set in motion by the Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman. However, the political repression that has existed in the kingdom for decades remained. In an interview with the Arab Gulf States Institute Washington co-creator Malik Nijir said he and Al-Muzaini sought to address local issues that arise in our society. "We try to mock many social issues from the way the government functions to the way certain beliefs are spread through society. We even make fun of ourselves sometimes. That's basically the purpose of comedy, to present things that are disturbing or annoying in real life and learn how to use them for our benefit." Well, that's very sad to hear. I hope he beats this. I am very pro this cartoon, Mazimir. I mean, it's a funny cartoon. You should check it out. Support the cartoonist, I say. Pete Bertoletti crowned hot dog eating champion amid Joey Chestnut's absence. Is it a real victory, though, without Joey Chestnut? HuffPost says campaign should use AI deepfakes to cover up for an increasingly fail and confused Biden. People have suggested that already. And that sounds like a terrible idea. So you want an AI president? That's the craziest thing I've ever heard. To actually openly endorse that. This is how desperate these people are to elect Joe Biden. Just use AI. Then people will think he's fine. He's not fine, is the point. In rare move, UN opens investigation into anti-Israel official. Interesting. Zelensky's office denies Tucker Carlson interview and suggests his FSB sources gave him bad information. Oh. Okay. July 4th in Biden's America, from saving 16 cents to record high cookout costs. Yeah, I mean, it's just ridiculous. I got to eat hamburgers yesterday, and I'm thankful for it, but only because somebody gave me hamburgers. It's bad. Prices are through the roof. HuffPost, oh no, I read that. Too little, too late. Lack of public dialogue has Democrats frustrated with Biden, according to a reporter. Evangelical group airlifts 24 tons of relief supplies to victim of Hurricane Beryl. Good for you. Report, Covenant killer diagnosed with 5 mental health disorders. Yeah, I would agree with that. I mean, she was nuts, I think. Administration still spending thousands on salaries for a pandemic response. Because of course they are. New poll shows Michelle Obama as only potential Democrat candidate beating Trump. She won't run. U.S. responsible for Ukraine conflict, according to Putin. Orban, Zelensky not happy with ceasefire proposal. Zelensky challenges Trump to present peace plan. Well, he'd do it, but he's not in charge right now. Let's see. Food competition. Grandfather picks his own wife as winner over the grandkids. Okay. Not sure why that's news, Fox. Newest threat from China, military AI robot dogs. Yeah, so imagine the Chinese don't invade America. They just send a million robot dogs that kill us. It'll be weird. New AP spin, Biden's sharp as attack occasionally. Yeah, it's very, the whole Chinese military threat with AI robot dogs, like the threat would be this. If you can build an AI that could, you like a giant, let's say it's a giant box, and it makes the AIs, and you drop it on a beach somewhere or somewhere in the forest, and what it does, it just accumulates the rocks and everything else, and it processes them and creates killer drones to protect itself. And then it just keeps building more, and then it builds another box, and then that builds more, and it just keeps going. That's the real danger. But fortunately, I don't think the technology's there yet, but it's not that far away. Ex-Duke star's fiance's mother speaks out after grooming rumors emerge. Nasty is a new word being tossed about. I mean, it's been around for a while, but now it's being tossed about everywhere. Dementia Joe's days are numbered. The Economist pushes brutal cover, tosses old Joe under the bus. Ooh, let's see the cover. No way to run a country. Look at this. Jesus. University hires fatness study professor. I'm sure that'll be very enlightening. States with no abortion limits often hide number of babies killed. No surprise there. Let's see. Biden campaign rings in the fourth by stepping on multiple rakes, gets mocked into oblivion. Now, we'll take a look at that. Maybe we'll wrap with that. University grew staff size by 1,200 while enrollment barely budged. There's the big problem with universities. They're top heavy with administrators and people who are just sucking in the money. They've been completely corrupted. Completely corrupted. They're not about learning at all. Same thing with public schools, by the way. They're top heavy with administrators, in my view. NATO fears French withdrawal from NATO? Okay. French far right says power within grasp as Mbappe warns of disaster. Oh, you think Le Pen's going to draw you out of NATO? Not with Trump running the show in a few months, hopefully. All right, let's see. Where was this one? Biden campaign rings in the fourth by stepping on multiple rakes, gets mocked into oblivion. All right. Here's the first one. CNN, Project 2025 is a playbook for what the first day of a second Trump administration would look like. They want to dismantle the administrative state and give more power to the executive branch. That would include sending agencies like the Department of Justice after his political opponents. They want us to turn against our global allies. It would give unprecedented power to Donald Trump if he were to win. So let's read some of the comments. Your desperation, while annoying, is giving me a chub. Agenda 47 is the playbook. Listen to this man tell you the facts. What's his face?
Actual platform that Trump is going to push when he becomes president. It's listed on his official campaign website. Project 2025 is not to be found there. In fact, Project 2025 was created by a conservative think tank named Heritage Foundation. It's supposed to make it legal to be. Has nothing to do with Trump. Trump has neither endorsed nor supported this platform.
Oh, good to know.
I don't care what any Hollywood elite or BET Awards show hosted by Taraji P. Henson have told you about Project 2025. It is not a talking point of President Trump's campaign, nor is it something that he's interested in. It's just another tool to fearmonger you and to just continue to vote for the same people over and over again and never breaking the cycle.
Boom. Good video. Good video, dude. Okay, so that's the first one. Let's see. Still, the stupidity of the Biden campaign's post wasn't lost on people. Which branch of the government do you think the administrative state is in? Hey, dingleberries, the administrative state is the freaking executive branch. What is wrong with you people? And then this was posted 4th of July under Trump's Project 2025. And somebody wrote, read a new book. Okay, is that? Oh, I thought there would be more than that. But all right, let's see. Let's see the comments under this one. Yeah, here's the picture. Here's the actual picture. Actually, it looked like this. This is his rally. I fail to see the problem. You went full retard, man. Laughing. Hunter Biden smoking crack. Harris HQ propaganda is trash. You realize it's the Heritage Foundation who came up with 2025, right? Trump has never mentioned it once. Keep lying, though. It's all you Democrats can do. And they got the Economist thing. Here's updating the profile. Just the lies, Jack. We're not on the other websites, too. Here's the 1619 Project. Here's the Democrats at a painting pushing their propaganda. I'll say I hope I don't get flagged for that. Here's Kamala Harris as a clown. So yeah, Project 2025, which isn't a thing. So there you go. Here's Biden shaking hands with Satan, saying he's doing great. Here's America burning and Joe and Jill looking at it. I mean, you could just look at these all day. I didn't like the way he stuttered during the debate. The cost of a 4th of July cookout from 2021 is down 16 cents from last year, and they circle the one thing. What else? Here's the Handmaid's Tale outfits. Here's a picture of Pride Week. Okay. Goes insanely hard. What is this? This looks like it's something from The Purge. So I think we're just about done here. Nick Fuentes, now we'll pass on him. Democrats pushing the mask since 1865. Ooh. All right. So I think I'm going to wrap it here. So you can check out some of these memes on Twitter on your own time. I, of course, am going back to doing stuff for the Pineys. I got various other things to do today. I hope you have a good July 4th. I hope you eat some hot dogs and hamburgers and hang around and talk about American things and have some light beer or whatever. I'm going to have some fun. I won't say what, but I'm going to have some fun today. And tomorrow I'm going to a museum thing about the American Revolution, which I'm very excited for as well. And I'm also doing stuff with my family. So it's going to be a good holiday for me. I didn't expect to do all this stuff either. It just sort of all came up. And then Sunday, of course, I'll be at the I Heart Horror Convention in Mattawan. Let me get the exact details here. Yeah, it's in, oops. It's at the top. It's not at the bottom. I Heart Horror and Hot Rod's Ice Cream Monster Jamboree. This is in Mattawan from 4 to 9 p.m. So we may get a little rain, but hopefully it won't be too bad. It doesn't look too bad. So I think it's gonna happen. If not, I'll be back here for the live stream. Otherwise, check out the live stream Monday. I'll do at least a short one to go down the box office. And so great. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. Have a good 4th. We'll see you in the next one.